All right. As there's no public. Sorry about that.
Gosh.
Do you have stuff to update?
Yeah, well, we can find some time to kill here. I think we had a couple of questions for the committee, just in terms of process. That we're really do want to try to finish up a lot of the work that we're doing, like with goals and strategies by, summertime. So that we can then take that part of it on the road and really wrap it up.
Yay. Okay. When you say summertime, by the end of the June meeting or the July meeting?
Well, I think let's shoot for June.
Mhm.
Finishing in June?
No, I wish. No.
Goals and strategies.
Goals and strategies, but I think that what that means is, can you hear us, Suzanne?
Nope. Can you hear me now?
Hear you. Can you hear us?
Yes. Thank you. Hi, everybody. Sorry, I'm not there in person.
So we were just getting started. I was going over just a couple of quick questions for the group, but we were talking about meeting schedule. Something to consider is that we do have a bunch of this stuff to try to do, and not that we need to try to pack on any more meetings to everybody's meeting schedule, but we may want to consider getting to that 2 meetings a month thing. And that sort of relates to how fast we can get through these sections and still give them the time that they need for good conversation. And also if there are meetings or a meeting where we want to invite, some outside experts too, that meeting would take away from sort of work. So we might want to build that into the mix a little bit. So Katrina suggested the other day, can we just find a Saturday someday and just like work for 4 hours? And it also could be an option, just throwing that out there.
Every day's Saturday for me.
Awesome.
Aren't you lucky?
I'd say it's just another
Saturday is
days.
a work day for Noel. Saturday is the new Monday.
Can you somebody just articulate clearly where we're at,
Yep.
where we need to get to? And when you say things like take it on the road, like in terms of this, what do we mean? What are we shooting for? Just refresh my recollection about.
So just sort of breaking the project down into different phases. We had our first phase was let's update the inventory, the required inventory sections, and also engage the community to try to help us figure out what our vision values were. That gives us the background for all this stuff. Now we're into the goals, objectives, and strategies section of the comprehensive plan. And we had agreed as a group that we were going to focus heavily on the priority group. The priority topic areas were going to be economy, housing, and future land use, I think was the other one, but I can't remember. There were 3 that we were going to focus on. And those are the first 3 that we're going to be working through. So right now, what we've done is we finished the vision statement draft, where we had some discussion last time about the economy section. We're going to hopefully finish that section today and maybe introduce the housing section. And then we need to kind of work through the rest of the sections of the comprehensive plan. So we have to do transportation, natural resources, public facilities and fiscal capacity, all of the other ones. And again, this is an update, but these priority sections will probably be the ones that we'll try to spend more time saying, look, maybe we need to rejigger this, or we've got to spend some more time thinking about, the goals and strategies that are already in there. So we're still going to be building on goals and strategies that are existing. But
and so you anticipate that at the end of this process, we will have what you might think of as a rough draft of an amended of a new comprehensive plan, and that's what we'd quote unquote take on the road.
Right. What I would like to do is by this summer, when we have people in town that we want to engage with, like we have the whole summer community that we need to try to engage with, then we are starting that conversation back with them to say, like, here's the direction that we think we're heading, and get some feedback from the community in that way. It doesn't mean we're not going to be continuing to work on some of these things. And maybe we want to think about, for sure by this summer, we're going to want to have like these hot button topics wrapped up and a good plan, because that's the stuff that we really want to talk to people about.
And I will just say, with respect to the summer, my experience has been that everybody who's here year round, who are going to be the people who vote on this, are too busy taking care of the needs of those summer people.
Yep.
And so they don't have the bandwidth to spend a lot of time during the summer
Yep.
focusing on that.
So I would answer that by saying that we also are cognizant of, like, we're going to start building back from when the warrant articles need to get created.
Mhm.
And that would be like by now.
Yeah.
Or even January of
January.
27, we're going to want to have like the draft plan that we're going to be going around. So in the fall, I think that we're going to then circle back around with people that haven't had the chance to review before we, finalize the draft that's going to get discussed at the town meeting.
We'll need a planning board meeting and.
Yeah.
In finalizing the draft looks like what? It's just small changes based on our conversations that we've had over the summer.
I think that, yeah, unless something major comes up,
Mhm.
we'll be in a good position, by the end of this year, say December timeframe, to like then start working on, formatting and.
Okay.
Suzanne, were you going to add something?
Yeah, I mean, I think that this summer too, there's a chance to also just kind of engage people in the sense that, who are here only in the summer. We can talk about the workshop that happened in the fall. We can share the vision statement, and then we can share a list of goals, even if all the strategies haven't been fine-tuned yet. But sort of the higher level policy framework that will be developed and get reactions, and it's just sort of a great chance to bring people in to the fold and collect more ideas and input. I also have a chart I can bring up too, if it helps, in terms of like the scope of work and the tasks and kind of where we are in the process. But I don't know if we want to get into that.
Kathy had a question. I mean,
Yeah.
Go ahead and bring it up.
Well, yeah, thinking about the summer community and how might that work in practical terms about who do we engage and how? And is that just through the Summer Residents Association?
Yeah, it could be several different ways. I mean, you can do like a very direct kind of intentional. Why are you laughing?
Debating
I
hitting
just-
an X, but he's afraid it's going to
Yeah.
close you out.
If I close you out, then we're going to be messed up.
No,
So-
like, forget what she has to say. Yeah, you can do direct kind of. I mean, I think we would probably want to do it multiple ways, right? And so we could put stuff up at the library, like a poster, and it's like, here's what this plan is happening. Go to the website to learn more. Take a flyer. We can go to the Summer Residents Association and do a presentation, or we can do an open house at the library. They've offered this in the past, set up some materials, kind of the way we did at the workshop, for people to react to and be there for 2 hours, drop in, learn more, ask questions, whatever. We can think of some ways to make it, so that we can attempt to capture more people. And make them want to come and learn more.
Yeah, I think that's fine. I'm going to be the person who pushes to make sure we focus on the people who are living here, the people who actually vote on it, not the people who.
Of course. Yeah. But I think we would do this anyway. Yeah. It wouldn't be just summer people.
We've had a lot of public meetings already.
Yeah, I think we've had a lot of public meetings to talk about some high level stuff. And so we need to, then this is why we set it up. Then now you guys as the committee need the time to work through the details. And then you can bring those details back to people to react to. And we are not going to be able to finish those things coincidentally until the start of the summer, if we can do that. It's a lot. There's a bunch to do.
So maybe we should get to economic policies.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay.
But
I'll stop sharing.
the goal would really be to try to finish a section each meeting.
Each time we meet.
If we're
That
gonna
could
do
be
that.
twice.
I guess it'd be nice to have an outline to show when our end goal will be met. So we can make sure we stay on track.
Yep, I think we do already have an outline.
Oh, sorry, I stopped sharing because Gail had mentioned she wanted to get to it. Should I bring it back up? I'm happy
We're good.
I'm happy to bring it. It doesn't have dates assigned to it, but it sort of like just shows you the scope and where we are in the process. So I can also share it out another time.
Email it to us.
Sure, we can email you a copy.
Yeah.
We actually have a work plan, believe it or not.
Right. But so the idea of the summer sharing to the whole community and taking advantage of summer people being there is that like we now have some pretty like concrete things for people to respond to, right? Like I mentioned the vision statement and like we'll have a set of goals at a minimum. So that's great.
So that, all that being said, we've had a work plan and then we have some discussions at meetings that take a little bit longer than the work plan. And so the idea is, we don't want to shortchange the conversation. And so we just need to like feel that out a little bit. And so leading into economic development or the economy section, I'd like to just kind of frame the conversation a little bit before we jump in and then maybe ask a couple of questions because I think it might help us in terms of how we prepare best for you guys for these meetings. So when we think about the economic chapter, I think it's helpful to think about how recognizing, the town, as we've talked about, and what Mount Desert is, and that it includes, tourism, it includes year-round life, it includes visitors and residents, it includes housing and workforce availability and all these different things. And so our goal as a committee isn't really to think about, and some of those have a little bit of a tension to them. And our goal, as we think about it, isn't necessarily to solve or eliminate all those tensions. It's to help us think about how we balance out, how the town can help balance out some of those things. And so we've acknowledged them, and then we have to think about how we work through them. I'd like to propose like two kind of lenses for the economy that we think about in this chapter. And then really it's just a framework for how we go through what's already existing in there and see if we need to add anything. But the first lens is really about jobs or livelihood. So those are things like what economic sectors are there? Is it tourism and hospitality? Is it the marine economy? Is it construction and trades? Like those are the jobs. How people make a living. Mm-hmm. And then there's the other part that we talk quite a bit about, which is I'll call it community services. So how does the economy provide services for the people that live here? Is it grocery stores? Is it a pharmacy? Is it whatever? And so in our economics discussion, is it worth thinking about those two lenses as we start to think about objectives and whether or not we have all the objectives we want and strategies to try to achieve those things, those objectives. So just sort of framing those two things that we have to deal with, because there's a difference between those sectors of the economy, those lenses of the economy.
Well, one of my initial reactions is that if we frame the economy as it is versus how we'd like to encourage it to be, then I think we don't do anything about what everybody kind of understands as a great imbalance that's causing great pressure on anybody's ability of ordinary means, anybody's ability to continue to live here or to become a resident here. And so you get the email that we got earlier today from Vince.
Yep.
Which is one approach. It's not one that I overly endorse, but it's one approach about allowing land use changes that will allow much greater use of one's own dooryard to conduct the individual small businesses. But if all we talk about is the existing economy is tourism and building mansions and stuff like that, I don't see that as a way to actually bend the curve on the problem that we have as a diminishing year-round community.
Yes. Let me rephrase the framework, which is those things are all valid. I was using those as examples of parts of the economy. So when you think about an economics chapter, you're asking the question, how people earn a living. It doesn't mean they have to earn the same. The how doesn't need to be the same in the future as it is today. But we have to have some objectives around how people earn a living. And then we also have to think about how the economy supports everyday community life or life. And it could be, in some cases, it's year round. Do we have enough? Do we have a store? Do we have the services that we want? Does our economy provide those things for the people that live here? And also, does it provide the things for the people that visit here? Like, those are all questions that we could be asking. So I guess what I'm suggesting is, as we go through economy, we can start to ask ourselves, okay, have we addressed the objectives to think about jobs? And have we addressed that to think about services, I guess, just to make them really simple. Kathy.
Something else. As a municipality, other than requiring to have staff who work for the town and that creation of jobs, and the town doesn't really play a role in job creation or services necessarily. But what the town does have a role in, and this is the struggle every year, is how do you make living here affordable for people? And that just keeps coming back to, what are we offering? What services are we offering? And how much are we collecting from people to have them live here?
So I would say the town actually does play a role in all of those things. It sets the table for those things to actually, for the economy to succeed in its land use policies and in the direction of where those are. There are tax benefits. How active does the town want to be in partnering with certain things? What infrastructure does the town support to allow the economy to thrive in the way that you want it to thrive? Just to take the marine economy, for example, like if you're on the working waterfront and the town has a world-class marina down there and they're willing to invest money in making sure that boats can access it, or people are the equipment is there for goods and services to get taken from trucks and put on a ferry and taken out to the island. Like those are all ways that the town contributes to, and there are other ways too, which I'm sure we could brainstorm. But so the town does play a role in those things, I think.
Yeah, it builds infrastructure and it provides jobs that then spin off to other jobs. Should we get into the document? Oh, sorry, go ahead.
I do agree with that. That government plays an important role in either facilitating or hindering or creating or ameliorating problems. And that's, I found Vince's comments in his email I wish you were here because I would love to engage with him on it. I found them very interesting.
Yep.
I hear what he's saying about people needing to be able to use their own, like their dooryard, to be able to do businesses. But I hear in what he's saying, and I don't mean to label things, but it's kind of a libertarian approach. And one of our problems with government policy is the kind of let everybody just do all that they can with what they've got has led us into like the gross inequality that we have now. And so while I think it's worth looking as a matter of town policy into how we can facilitate, we're not going to probably ever agree that we ought to let people work on other people's cars and dooryards. And that was something we specifically discussed at the last meeting. Stuff like that carries big implications. And so all that stuff needs to be thought about very carefully. But if there are ways we have on the town warrant this year, the ability of the code enforcement officer rather than the planning board to allow someone to use an existing structure for a home occupation. And rather than having to go through the planning board. So stuff like that is something that might help someone. I don't know if it will or it won't, but.
Yeah, I think, again, a comprehensive plan is like, you know, it's a roadmap, it's the guardrails for discussion of future
Right.
things, right? So you're
Right.
gonna kind of bump around in the guardrails to
Yep.
get to the common goal. So we've already set a vision.
Mhm.
You know, we're all hopefully rowing in the same direction on that vision, and then the guardrails to get to your vision or what sort of policy choices you get to make along the way.
Right.
And the comprehensive plan sort of just sets the tone for those discussions.
Right.
Yeah, and then, you know, again, and one tone could be like, we want to be, I don't know, this may be getting way into the weeds and not exactly, it may not be what I should say, but anyway, you're gonna, the town, as we're writing this comprehensive plan in certain sections of it, like how we talk about like the town will, you know, will explore opportunities to do X, Y, and Z. You know, or the town, how you write it or how you think about it is, it sets like a, yeah, like a tone for how the town should be working in the future. It could be, in some places, it's very like, we're not going to do any of that. In some places, it's like, yeah, we want to be open to these things.
Well, I think with affordability as the problem that everybody has talked about and will talk about.
Yep.
The town ought to be encouraging economic and probably housing policies too, that will encourage a sustainable mix of uses.
Sure.
And that's includes residences.
Yep.
And I don't think you can. And so what with under that broad statement, what can we do? Or what can we recommend?
Yeah. And so let's open up the document.
All right. I'll bring that up.
This version, I think the one Suzanne's going to pull up is the version that we sent you guys is the reformatted version of the existing comprehensive plan with some notes from the last meeting. So, you know, Gail's good comments at the last meeting about, you know, we should add some context to what's happening, you know, on a higher level to the economic, you know, introduction and that kind of stuff. We haven't added that language yet, but we will.
Can you guys see this okay? Do I need to zoom in at all? Sorry to interrupt you. I never know how it looks on your end. So can you?
It's a little small, Suzanne, but I think everybody has a paper copy and or a computer.
Okay, great.
Which we do.
Yep.
Sorry, go ahead.
And so then we had the goals that we talked about, and we haven't spent a lot of time like just tweaking the goals to make sure they're like goals statements.
And your comment at the beginning of this was the following text comes from the existing comp plan from 2009.
Yep.
How far down does that go? Are these economy goals what was in the 2009?
Yep.
Yeah, and also what you guys brainstormed at the last meeting. So there was like one larger goal. And actually, this is our third meeting, I think, where we've been talking about economy. Correct me if I'm wrong. So the first meeting when we really dug in, the existing plan had, I think it was like a statement, multi-part statement goal. And so we looked at that together and then started to add to it. And so this is a combination, that list is a combination of the existing plan and then the comments that you all made in that conversation. And this is not, these are a list of ideas, right, for goals. It's not like a finalized list or like Noel was saying, kind of formalized goal type language. Does that make sense?
So that's the document that you guys have. And I do have a question. So, because what we've done is taking past conversations and some other experience that we have as part of the thing that we might go through tonight and actually done like a red line version. So you can actually see like, here's what was written, and this was strike through with underlined new words that might make more sense or not. And what I'm actually kind of curious about is, I'm really sensitive. Suzanne and I are very sensitive to going to places, especially in Mount Desert, where we have a lot of experience and work of just saying, here's what you got to do. But I think I'm wondering if there's an opportunity for us to like say, hey, we've heard what you said. We've created a draft that we can all react to, where you can see strike throughs and underlines, and we can actually have a conversation about like those things. So you're actually reacting to ideas instead of me just saying, so under
What
this,
do you think?
what do you think we should be adding? You know, do you think we should be adding blah, blah, blah? that's how we're approaching what we're gonna do tonight. If it doesn't work, then we will.
Well,
do
I
it
like the
different.
idea from the perspective too, that it's going to give us something to react to, and we might be able to have some more meaningful conversations versus it's just sort of putting out, okay, what's your thought here? And
Yep.
because there are a lot of similar repeat themes.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So housing, like when we get to housing, like I've already had a meeting with Tim. We already kind of know, like, here's the things that have already been done, and we can kind of take those off the list, or these are the things that are in the works, and we can start to add that level of detail to this, plus other things that we might want to consider based on all the other work that we've done, around housing and conversations we've had as a community about those things.
On our first page here, opportunity for small businesses, I think, being on the planning board, we're always open to people who want to have businesses. And I know personally that sometimes having businesses in residential areas are not good.
Yep.
And, as planning board, people come up to us and it's very rare that we say, oh, no, you can't do that. We're always open to everything.
Sure.
But I know one time that we had a bread oven right next door to a house, and all summer long, the smoke from the wood-fired bread oven went in the house next door.
Yep.
And so we
Yeah.
have to be careful with, residential zoning is residential zoning.
Yeah.
I would say that the mission of our planning board is for us to try to faithfully interpret the existing law and apply it, whether we're enthusiastic for a particular idea or not.
Mhm.
Well, I would say comp plan is setting the tone for the policy discussion. The policy actually gets decided at a different level, and then the planning board actually interprets the
meeting,
thing that the policy
Yes.
is created to.
Ordinance change.
And I think we're pretty liberal as it is now.
Yeah. All right,
Okay.
let's go to objective 1.
Can I ask something about this goal of?
Yep.
To expand the local year-round economy, to enhance the quality of life from Mount Desert. There's a word missing there. Right. That prioritizes year-round residents, seasonal residents, and visitors. That's everybody. Who's
Yeah, that's
not included
exactly,
there? That's
exactly.
That's
It's,
not prioritizing, that's just include everybody. Are we trying to get to prioritizes year-round residents? Because that's a group that needs help,
That's what we
Not
should
seasonal
prioritize.
residents. not visitors. So I'd like to strike the last two of those three.
here.
Okay,
Other thoughts? Anyone else?
I second it,
seems like there's good consensus around that.
at least around this table, till you take it to the summer meeting association.
I will say we spent more time on the goals, not the goals, and more time on the objectives and
Yeah.
actions than actually.
But this is the time.
Yeah.
I think,
I'm happy.
yeah, right. And I wondered, what word did you mean to have in there? Mount Deserts?
Just
something.
take off the S, Mount Desert, the quality of life for Mount Desert that prioritizes year-round residents.
Yeah, sorry, I'll go back and check. It's from the existing plan. I think it was just a copy and paste here.
Prioritizes the needs of year-round residents,
How about the next one?
unmet needs.
Yep, sounds good.
Yep.
And a viable, balanced community that allows people to live and shop here.
Perfect.
Make it easier to start and establish businesses, particularly in residential areas. That's what.
This is related to the one below.
Can I just ask, don't you want them to be able to live, work, and shop here for the economy part of it? Don't you want them to work here?
Yes,
So for the third one, you're adding in the word work, to live and work here and shop here.
Right.
yeah, because we all need to know that everybody who lives here works out, almost everybody works elsewhere, so. And people who work here don't live here. And that's unfortunate.
I'll just remind people, this is sort of a list of ideas that we brainstormed, but like this next one, increase mobile phone coverage. That could be a strategy that it could be an idea that makes more sense as a strategy under one of the other objectives.
Well, I don't think we can say it often enough.
Okay.
I'm not sure that we are necessarily in agreement on make it easier to establish that phrase and make it easier to start and establish businesses, period. I'm not necessarily in favor of saying particularly in residential areas. That's my,
Yeah, these were just notes that we took.
but we don't say no, but
Yeah, I think we're getting into the notes part. You know, if you recall the existing comp plan, there, the goal statement is one line, it's just one goal.
This one, yeah. That one. Yeah, great. And so these can be combined.
yes.
Just not a goal.
Okay, objective 1, are we there for that?
Oh, did you want to talk about the other one, identify new areas for commercial activity? Does that sit well with people?
I would suggest that these last bullets are actually covered in some of the objectives
I
that we're going to
agree.
talk about later, so
Yes.
maybe we don't
Right.
need much time on it, but that's happy to discuss with all of you. If you want to do it, but
Great. That's what I was thinking. Okay.
so in this version, you've got the version that is what the plan was.
Mhm.
And then up here, what Suzanne is showing you is, hey, can we maybe think about something different that we can talk about?
Okay.
And then, so next time we send you something, it'll be the marked up version.
Okay.
So in this one, perhaps, this is an objective that was from the existing plan. Perhaps we could reword it to say something more like support efforts to provide more year-round and higher paying employment options, period.
Yep.
Sure.
And
Yes.
then if we think, as we're going through the strategies for this section, let's start to think about, okay, to achieve that objective, are there regulations that need to get changed? Are there workforce changes that need to be suggested or supported? Are there local business supports that we need to think about? Or what about tourism management? Because we can't think about all of those things necessarily without those things. So those are just prompts for
Okay.
how we might organize, how we might think about it and ask ourselves, hey, have we addressed all these important things under this? Have we added a strategy under each of these topics that's important for those things?
Can I ask, there's some like grammatical stuff here. Are we gonna leave that not for today?
Not for today.
Okay.
Yep. If we can. If it's
Yes.
like preventing us from getting past it, then let's dive in.
I'll try to constrain us.
Gail, you can always send grammatical changes to us.
Yeah, we can make notes and hand them into the teacher.
And so also, none of this is like, this is all your stuff, all stuff that we're suggesting, and you guys can say this is wrong. Hopefully we know each other well enough that you know that, but I have to say it out loud so everybody recognizes I no pride of authorship in any of this.
Then can I ask,
Yep.
the last objective here, number 7, was to ensure that the recommendations from that plan in 2009 were addressed in a timely and effective manner. Has that ever been done? Is anybody, and I'm thinking, let's structure it so we actually do update where we've made changes and recommendations.
Should we
along
go
those
through these in
lines.
order?
Can I make a,
Well, just as we start in the beginning.
Yeah.
right? What I would suggest.
I'm gonna test it.
Yeah, I've actually thought about this too. So at A, I think that number 7 objective actually belongs in a whole different section of the comp plan and not in this one.
Yep.
Yeah.
And B, I think one thing that would be really interesting to challenge ourselves to say, look, in a comp plan, you actually have to break out like an implementation process. And so a lot of times, and like in this plan, there's like ongoing strategies, there's short-term strategies, medium-term, long-term, whatever. I think it would be really interesting to say, okay, we know and actually we tried this with another town in the state, made us do it differently, but I'd love to think about it as like we have short-term strategies and we have all other strategies. Because the short-term ones are the ones that you really want to focus on. So as we're going through this, if we could come up with like thinking about, okay, what is it that we realistically want to try to do in 5 years? And make that a short-term strategy, and then we can figure out how to categorize the other strategies so that it meets state planning requirements. But like those things, let's lose all the ideas, but let's like take the opportunity now to think about how are we going to actually bite off, how are we going to implement realistically, some of these things.
Do you have this?
I don't know if that answers your question, Kathy, but I think the other thing with, as we're going through this, we have, and this is why I was meeting with Kim, like tracked, like these things are done, so we can check them off the list. So we're just not carrying it forward.
Okay, that's what I was kind of gonna get at is this done?
Yep.
We need to continue.
Yes. So we've done that for this, and we've done it for housing, and we'll integrate that into the next one.
And what we want to do is have a process that's meaningful. In another board I'm on, we've got these newly minted, which are a lot like the old ones, goals and priorities. And I'm constantly hearing those goals and priorities, and it sounds fairly non-substantial to me. So we want to have a process that says, oh, we can put, not that, we can put this in that box.
Yep.
But that we actually have a dynamic plan to.
Yeah. Yeah, so,
Substantive.
I mean, I asked those questions to build on that by saying, like, as we're going through this, if we're like, oh, you know what, if we added this level of detail, and this really is important to us, let's add a layer of detail that makes it a more specific short-term strategy, as opposed to consider, you know, blah, blah, blah. Like, there's certain words you can use to make it a little more meaningful. But
Not just a mission.
also the trick with a comp plan is sometimes specifics mean people get hung up on things and it doesn't make it through town meeting. So there's a balancing act that we have to go.
Yep.
All right, so the first one is under the first strategy under objective 1, we would maybe suggest revising it to say periodically review the land use ordinance to ensure that small scale businesses, home occupations, and remote work businesses can operate without unnecessary barriers while maintaining neighborhood character. So I think based on the conversation we had, this would be an interesting one for everybody to react to. But what we heard was some conversation about not just home occupations, but maybe small scale businesses. And I think remote work has been something that we've talked about. And that sort of like the reason why we just drafted this up. But it may, based on the conversations we've just had, we might have to polish that up a little bit more. What do you think?
Well, I think your language more accurately reflects where we should probably be heading.
Yep. And I would think in this one, the original language was very specific to home-based businesses, but in this objective, we're actually like a broader economic context. So we're just trying to broaden it out a little bit. Does that make sense?
Yes.
It does, yeah.
Great. Good. Should we move on?
Yep.
So the next one, we have a strike through, or on my version, I have a strike through. I think it's strike through there, but I think in my conversations with Kim about something similar to this, when we're talking about small scale businesses, she brought up, well, you really should define small scale businesses. And we don't necessarily want to get to that level of detail in a comprehensive plan, but we may want to put something, either combine it with the objective above to like, and define small scale businesses or whatever, or use some examples like such as to help provide some context of what we're talking about when we say small scale businesses within neighborhood context. Does that make sense? This is like fun planning in the weeds stuff. Okay. Anything there? Good. All right. Next one, continue to participate in regional economic development efforts with neighboring Mount Desert Island communities and Hancock County.
And Hancock County.
What was that?
When you say Mount Desert and Hancock County.
Not just Island.
And Hancock, I just because Hancock County encompasses all of us.
Yeah.
I'm saying neighboring Mount Desert Island communities and Hancock County.
It's the Hancock County Planning Commission and stuff like that that could be helpful.
You're talking about basically anything that's off of Mount Desert Island.
I think, yeah, and we could split it up. And this maybe the idea is as we're thinking about our economy.
You can say neighboring communities,
There we go.
Yeah.
period.
Okay. And then we just kept the support endeavors of other state and regional organizations to promote regional economic development.
Mhm.
I'd suggest we take League of Towns off that though.
The other thing we haven't done is said, there is an economic development committee in town. And, you know, we should probably start shuffling some stuff away from the planning board and. Right?
Mm,
Yeah. Committee's having some, yeah.
Or not, maybe
Yeah.
not.
I just don't see League of Towns as an organization that's gonna be able to push stuff forward in that sense.
Okay. Also, League of Towns would be something I would say, work with League of Towns to do this and then put that onto the select board. Like, that's an entity that you would not, it's not like a committee from the town. So I agree, I think you're.
Just get regional economic development efforts with neighboring communities.
All right. The next one is create incentives to establish year-round businesses. This one I paused here, and I'm not exactly sure. This was from the old plan. I think it's
Right.
interesting, but I don't know what
That means.
that actually means. So thought we might talk about that a little bit.
My suggestion was to revise it to say research and propose incentives to establish year-round businesses, and that this would be a better task assigned to the Economic Development Committee. It's a slightly less vague and a little bit more action oriented. Like, if you think of some of these strategies should then inform the work plan of a committee, it's like, you know, or you can even be specific to say, you know, give some sort of specific direction for that committee, like create a,
Facilitate opportunities to establish and maintain year-round businesses.
I think that community could use some guidelines. Right now, I think we operate
That committee.
that committee, yes, that committee.
Yeah.
We're a sounding board. We hear what's going on, but we're not taking any action. We know it's a
Right.
group. We don't have any authority to do anything, but we don't do anything. you
Right.
know?
So this could say like create a set of case studies or something where it's like the committee is going to, you know, create a product. Like, here's a report of, you know, case studies of incentives, and then present it to whomever, and then decide like this one, or maybe they learn in that process. These are two that make a lot of sense for the town of Mount Desert. We should pursue those. That's just an example. It's not necessarily like verbatim the suggestion, but about how you can use a strategy to suggest a very discrete sort of project or product.
I'm not sure I'm following you.
Right. So you could have a strategy here that says, and my initial suggestion was more vague, right? Research and propose incentives to establish year-round businesses assigned to the Economic Development Committee. So they would meet and say, okay, the comp plan, you know, we all participated in this, but the comp plan is directing us to come up with a list of possible incentives we could use to help either establish new businesses or, you know, sustain existing year-round businesses. And so they would have a project they need to work on together. That's how I'm imagining it. Does that make sense? It's just like more concrete, like a task.
Not only do you want to establish businesses, but you want to retain those that are.
Have you let Stephanie into the meeting?
Everybody's in the meeting.
Stephanie is?
Yep.
Okay.
I just was
Thank
gonna figure out a way to
Yes,
just.
I'm here. I'm here.
Okay. I didn't want you to be left out.
No, I'm here.
Well, I don't understand why we just don't eliminate create incentives. Say the next thing, encourage small scale commercial activity that provides goods and services needed by year-round residents, particularly within village areas. Although, I guess when I say that out loud, it's too limited perhaps, because it could be a small scale commercial business that does remote work that employs somebody, but
Come back to what Katrina was saying. You were talking about continuing, right? Like
Retaining.
retaining.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
You know,
Think of the hardware store,
right,
100-year-old business.
To establish.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
She added in
you,
to establish and retain.
Yeah, retain.
Yeah.
Yep.
so do you want to keep the verb there, the create? Is that,
What you had suggested, Suzanne, and then
well, people said they weren't sure what that meant exactly. So I don't want to force anything, but you guys tell me what makes sense.
What you had initially said was research
And propose
and propose.
incentives from other communities that might
Well,
work.
yeah, and you can be more specific. I think one thing we struggle with in this process is like it's easy to say something that's a little bit undefined, and then especially if you assign it to the select board, which has quite a few things, right, on their plate. That is easy. This is an easy one that would get sort of like, not maybe addressed. But I think if you describe it as a more discrete task or project, like in a plan we did recently, this is a different topic, but it was like develop a list of blah blah blah. You know what I mean? It's like there's a output.
If you're doing research and propose incentives to establish and retain year-round businesses and assign it to the Economic Development Committee, that's pretty much all they can do anyway. They
Okay.
can't actually establish it,
Right.
so they would have to bring it forward to the voting
Okay.
body.
Yeah, that should be
Great.
creating. It would be researching and proposing.
Yep.
Okay, so you feel like that's specific enough?
Yes.
Great. Okay, great. That's all I wanted to know.
And assign it to the committee rather than the select board.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's over here. Great. Okay, thanks.
Any word create,
yes,
Yes.
Yep, thank you. Okay.
how about the next one? Encourage small-scale commercial activity that provides goods and services needed by year-round residents, particularly within village areas. I think the way that was meant was those small-scale commercial activities should be within village areas, not providing the service,
To only village areas.
Yeah.
Yep.
Only to village areas.
I don't know why that's not covered by the one before, but
I think one is be talking any business, the other is specifically.
sure. And if that's a,
I think one is to establish and retain, create incentives to establish and retain
Right.
versus one that is encouraging, you could do it through zoning or other ways.
so what committee would have that kind of assignment?
Good question.
Zoning. It's through your
well,
ordinance.
that's gotta be
Through ordinance.
land use
Yeah.
or economic development, or it's everybody.
I would say planning board, Luso,
Yeah.
economic development committee.
Select board, everybody.
All right. The next one was from the old plan, invest in infrastructure improvements that will support year-round economic activity.
That's good, and that's where it belongs to.
And then underneath that, I think from building on that, we were sort of asking our question, well, what kind of infrastructure are we talking about? So this is support improvements to broadband and cellular coverage throughout town to enable remote work, business operations, and reliable communication.
I think the town did broadband.
Yes, we did.
Don't we have 100% coverage now?
That can be.
Should we say?
And cellular coverage, unless we put then on every hill, we're gonna have dead zones here. It'd be nice not to, but that's a tough one.
Are there specific dead zones still in this town that I'm
Steve
missing
Harbor.
in general? Yeah.
Yeah, Seal Harbor's bad.
My house.
Echo Lake.
Well, and it's also getting
Yeah,
bad. I mean,
go
you
there.
have no control over the carriers. I mean,
Right.
Like the control the town does have is to allow or not allow more towers.
Correct.
Well, we have a long ordinance for that we, on my tenure on the planning board so far, I haven't had a chance to use it, but it was hot at one point, so.
Right.
That's why we have that pages of ordinance about cell towers.
Yes.
So for this one, I think it's just in supporting improvements or, you know,
Mm-hmm.
Should we take out broadband and just leave it as cellular?
so I'm not as familiar with broadband as you, so I'm
So
curious.
this.
Support improvements throughout the town.
Yeah, can
Universal
broadband,
coverage.
can broadband continue to be improved?
Oh, I mean,
If Fidelity or what is it, if Fidium gets fiber
Inspired.
through the town.
Should it be support continued improvements too?
Sure.
Yeah,
Yeah. You're not gonna hurt by keeping it in.
Kind of ongoing anyway.
Mhm. Changing technology.
And who would this be assigned to?
So when the town did broadband, was there like a broadband committee?
Yes.
Yes,
How
yes.
how you've done?
it was a spin-off of the Economic Development Committee,
Got it. So this would be then
Economic Development again.
economic development or, and
And planning board, isn't it? With
Yeah.
cell towers.
Cell towers.
what role, this is where I always get complaints, it's like the select board at the end of the day are the decision makers on all this stuff anyway. So how much do we really need to acknowledge that in the plan? So, because technically it would be the select boards.
Starting committee in there.
yeah, definitely starting, because at the end of the day, select board isn't going to be doing meetings like this, right?
Like efficiency wise, they would be like, okay, this is great, we're gonna assign this to you guys.
Yeah.
Tell us what you think.
They're the deciding body.
Yeah.
So-
And with respect to the improvements to broadband and cellular coverage, unless you're proposing that the existing cellular tower ordinance is not adequate, then it's just a matter of the planning board processing applications according to the ordinance the way it is now. I assume a lot of work went into that ordinance when we went through a period of people wanting to put towers everywhere.
Mhm.
Yes, that's probably a model from the state at that point.
And I believe towers went up, it's just that they had to follow certain.
Yeah, they did. Yep.
It's the one up above me, thank you.
All right. So the next one is encourage economic.
Ongoing.
Yep.
Okay.
The next one is encouraging economic activities that extend employment into the shoulder season. And this is just like a stab at getting people to talk about, the tourism season management kind of thing, like recognizing that tourism is part of the economy. And how do we want to deal with that?
In
We
the
encourage
children's
global
and
warming.
year round.
Yeah, so the objective would be to extend job opportunities longer than, year round. That's the objective, right?
Yes, year round.
So,
Yeah, that seems a little bit superfluous, but
I would think that would come back to the Economic Development Committee.
do we
And also,
agree?
like, what is it specifically? What does encourage mean? And like, I think when we go through this and develop these ideas, it's sort of like that first kind of pass that like, this is a good thing to talk about, but what does it mean more specifically?
And maybe we don't need it, because if several things up there, we said the Economic Development Committee was going to research and propose incentives that would create year-round employment.
yes.
Mhm.
Maybe we don't need to extend the shoulder season.
Could we including like up above, you could including extending the tourism, the season, blah, 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 like as an example. The other thing, we don't need to talk about this right this minute, but I do think it would be really interesting to have a conversation about like, what is tourism mean to us? Like there's a larger conversation to be had about tourism and sustainability and all that good stuff, but.
I'm ready.
And it's a really tricky one, because the reality is Bar Harbor's shoulder seasons have gotten quite long, right?
Yes.
Into November.
Yeah,
Yes,
but that hasn't extended over to the town of Mount Desert necessarily to the same extent. But I don't know that we'd necessarily get agreement within this town as to whether that's a good thing or a bad thing. So it's a tricky one.
You just want a restaurant that's open year round.
that's the other
Don't we have
one.
that?
Right, and so maybe in the context of Mount Desert, it doesn't really matter, we recognize that tourism is part of it, but having businesses open year round could either serve tourists or locals.
Right.
Or maybe, Alex, I think what you were getting at is,
I mean, I harken back to Belfast. You can go to Belfast and on any day in the year, you can get a nice lunch.
Yep.
And doesn't matter that you're a tourist, you can.
yeah. So Suzanne, on the note here, maybe combine with explore combining with something up above. I think there's a
Research and propose.
Yeah. Okay, so before we move off this one, I just want to ask the follow-up question. Have we covered everything regulation wise or workforce development wise or local business support wise that we want to cover under this objective
Good for now.
for now?
Mhm.
And you may think of something when you see a cleaned up version.
Something that was on the old plan. Invest in infrastructure improvements, and we changed that over. Is that the broadband and communications?
No, we kept the invest in infrastructure improvements that will support year-round economic activity.
Okay, that's still.
Also, it's kind of like tied into some other ones later on, Kathy. All right, we're good for that?
Yep.
All right, let's move on to objective two.
Big infrastructure improvement just like that coming in.
Perfect.
You mean the
Yeah.
So the next one is the original objective was related to the working waterfront and very focused on commercial fishing. And some other water dependent uses. Part of the conversation we've had in the past is to think about the marine economy in a broader, so commercial fishing is part of the larger marine economy, which makes up a good part of the town of Mount Desert. So the idea here would be to change the objective, to rephrase the objective to be more inclusive of the entire marine economy as opposed to just commercial fishing.
I like your proposed edits.
So do you want me to read it or can you see it?
I just switched it. Sometimes it's, easier to just look at it. We want to show the changes, but ensure preservation of the town's marine economy, including working waterfront, commercial fishing, marine services, recreational boating, and other water dependent businesses.
Got it.
Good,
That's it.
got it. Right,
Does that include working waterfront?
No, what they're proposing in short is not that.
Well, I'm just thinking of the town's marine economy. What about anything that goes on on Long Pond? Kayak rentals, paddleboard rentals. That's not necessarily the marine economy, but it is water-based.
yeah.
Is that covered somewhere else?
I would
Well, this says other water dependent businesses.
Also talks about recreational boating and other water dependent.
So it's covered.
So it says ensure
Correct.
preservation of the town's
So
marine
whether it's the
economy.
ocean or a pond.
Yeah,
technically,
I think that's a good thought and it's covered.
Okay.
I would take that more into a tourism question, but yeah.
And when we get in our head the subject of marine activity, we do need to remember we have other harbors in this town other than just.
Yes, absolutely. So one other thing, sort of the framing of this one as well. So we start to think about, okay, if under that goal, are there regulations that we want to suggest under that objective? Are there regulations? Are there harbor infrastructure things, strategies? Are there strategies for supporting marine trades and services? Are there harbor access strategies or coordinating a harbor plan? Not just a harbor plan, but a coordinated harbors plan kind of approach? Are there focusing on different marine industry trends kind of strategies that would help support that? So those are all kind of things that when we were thinking about this, start swirling around in our heads. So dive in. The first revision might be, instead of revisit the table of permitted uses, I still think rather than be so specific to the land, to section of a land use ordinance, you really just want to continue to review and adjust as needed the land use ordinance to ensure that regulations do not unnecessarily limit water dependent businesses. Rather than unfairly limit activities.
Does that mean that they would cover whether people are allowed to have traps on there? But you're not, whether that's allowed.
Sure, that part of the discussion could be that.
I don't know if we need collaboration with
Yes.
Cranberry Island Cooperative and the Maine Lobstermen's Association.
Agree with you.
Yep. I did not,
See why those have to be there.
we did not pay attention to the suggested responsibility, so that's a good
Well, I
one.
think, you know,
That's-
just was
that's why I'm
done
here.
years ago, you had the islands
Harbor
trying to
Committee
figure out
boy.
their parking and the
Mhm.
on,
Yeah.
you had a lot going on then.
Yeah, but I would take that out and say, collaborate with Cranberry Island Cooperative and the Maine Lobstermen's Association to do something, and then who's gonna do that would be like the Harbor Committee.
I mean, the other thing is that right now our zoning ordinance allows people to have, to build residences in commercial waterfront zones. And that's not a strategy, it's more of a detail thing, but.
Yeah, but in the commercial waterfront zones, you're like here in Northeast Harbor, you're not allowed to have commercial, I mean, like you couldn't have lobster traps or. And I mean, that was Northeast Harbor. I don't know if it's gonna be a little bit different in some of the other locations based on the zoning, but I feel like there's a discrepancy there.
Say that again.
Can't have.
Commercial properties like here in Northeast Harbor. You can't have a commercial, you can't have traps. You can have probably some types of commercial businesses, but like you cannot have lobster traps. You can't have a business like that.
On a commercial
In Northeast
property
Harbor.
that's zoned for commercial, marine, whatever, commercial.
It's not commercial marine, it's commercial.
What's
And-
allowed at Bartlett's? Sometimes I see traps stacked up there.
Most of
That's
that's
different,
conditional
it's
use
not clean.
permits.
Okay.
I don't think anybody's supposed to store traps at any of at harbors themselves. And
On their own residences.
there's a lot of places that do not allow that.
It's
Because
conditional use permit.
It really stinks. Bad.
Yeah.
If you live next door to it, it's a nightmare.
Yeah.
And that's why a lot of places have said, you can't store these here. If they were all cleaned, it would be all right. But that's not said or done.
And then there's a fine line between storing traps and storing rope, because rope can just be as off-putting as traps.
Yeah.
Or bait barrels or.
Now, they have to get a whole new permit. You have to get a whole new permission.
The bait shed, that's something different. But yeah, I mean, I haven't looked at it in a long time, but. I mean, I don't remember what falls under lobstering anymore. I don't think it delineated that it was traps, ropes, trailers, whatever.
Just gear.
Gear.
So I just wrote down two things to sort of like, as this strategy evolves a little bit. One would be to think about it in kind of the neighborhood context. So this is a pretty broad strategy. And then the other one I wrote down was maybe creating some wording around another strategy, I think in line with what you were talking about, Gail, which is to review the commercial marine maritime activity, whatever, I'm having a brain cramp on the zone, the commercial fishing districts
Right.
that actually may need to be improved in order to
Actually keep them coming.
actually keep them commercial.
Right.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Right.
Because that is a thing
Yeah.
to worry about.
Yeah.
It is.
But it's to create some flexibility, but also maintain them. Like there's conversations to be had there.
Right. So if we
Yeah.
don't allow fishing gear in those districts, what do we got left to support? Yacht maintenance yards. Right.
Right, but why that's
I
weird.
mean, what?
I have to look into that one because it's weird that in commercial fishing maritime activities districts, you wouldn't be able to store traps.
Mhm.
But that's not the zone, it's commercial, and again, I haven't looked in a while, but it's the commercial zone in Northeast Harbor. You could not, Lap Springs considered a commercial business, you couldn't, you couldn't store them, and I don't think you can get a conditional use permit on it either.
Okay. Let's check it
Yeah.
out.
It was a while, but I think it's probably still. It's
I don't
changed.
think that's changed.
Yeah.
So where are you allowed to store traps?
It's on residential and it's conditional use permit.
In some village commercial.
Some
Yeah.
village commercial.
So
Yeah, if
that-
it was village commercial here, you couldn't.
Yeah, so they might not have said in like the downtown commercial district that they don't want you to store traps.
Right.
All right, so we also added, this is more of like, I think we can rephrase this one a little bit, Suzanne, at some point, but collaborate with Cranberry Island Cooperative and Maine Lobstermen Association. It's more of like a regional, just, same thing, back to the regional discussions, like participate with your neighbors in marine
Yeah,
economy.
that one should probably leave.
What was that?
To collaborate with blah, blah.
I don't know why we have to collaborate. This is,
Or have it be an objective, to accomplish your other objectives, you may want to collaborate with this organization or that organization, it'll either be those organizations or something else.
So they added
I
in
don't
as a
think-
strategy under that.
Yeah.
But
put
they
it as a
removed it
strategy.
as,
Yep.
you
I
know,
took it out of responsibility.
Yeah,
But I think it should also come out of strategy.
Okay. Should it be like no collaboration, take out the idea altogether, or collaborate?
just to encourage marine trades. Blah, blah, blah.
right.
So those two organizations do not have to be spelled out,
No,
is what you're saying, as a strategy.
that's what I'm saying is that
Right.
it could be a broader
Yeah.
collaborative strategy, collaborate with neighboring communities and state and local trade groups on enhancing the marine economy or something like that.
That also be economic development.
Yep,
Mhm.
it's already, yes, there is a,
Yeah, I don't know. There's some of these groups that have become really specifically political. And I think we want to be careful about that.
yep, that's Gail's making a point of, some groups that are less,
Very partisan.
yeah. So should we take this part out for now and get back to it later? Or assume it's somewhere else?
Well, unless we can define what do we want to collaborate about.
Yes.
Just, it feels kind of unnecessary to me.
Let's take it out. Perfect.
Good.
All right, so the next one is encourage marine trades and services such as boat maintenance, repair, storage, and related activities that support the harbor economy.
And now in that situation, we might want to add fishing, just put fishing in there. Right?
Yep,
But it's not just fishing, right?
No, but it's fishing, marine trades and services such as
Marine trades.
we could say,
boat maintenance, repair, storage, related activity, repair, storage, fishing and related activities that support harbor economy.
Does the next one capture that a little bit more, Gail? Maintain adequate
Yeah.
access to, well, it's access to rivers. Yeah, it's a little bit different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's.
Who
How's
do you
the next-
want to assign the responsibility to?
I don't know if we need fishing up there because it talks about it. Two of them down. Operational needs for commercial fishing and water dependent businesses.
Well, except that, see, what we're getting into is those are specific tasks
Mhm.
down there. And
We need to be broad. No, we don't need to get too technical.
Well, it does say such as boat maintenance. For example.
if they don't put it somewhere,
is encourage the wrong word for this?
Yeah, it's going to be encouraging somebody.
yes.
Support, not support.
Right, those people with checkbooks.
Yes.
No, are we really trying to? You're trying to do something more than just encourage.
Facilitate?
Trying to create structures that,
We want to make sure they stay here.
yeah,
Take.
Facilitate?
Right, so how do you do that? And
You give them money, probably. I mean, let's be real.
I mean,
You
is that
just
the
say
role of
facilitate?
Chamber of Commerce?
Be like facilitate?
We could facilitate, but it could be, I'm also thinking of through such, I don't know the end of this, but it could be facilitate marine trades and services or encourage or
Or
support,
retain.
through such things as, and then have some examples.
You expand and retain, or do you not want to expand?
Or you could say maintain. I mean, so sometimes like it helps if there's a measurable component. And soft's very general, but like if it said maintain existing marine trades and services or expand, then it's measurable. And you could say, if this is revisited in 3 or 4 years after it's passed, and for some reason, like things are disappearing, it's like, okay, the plan said to increase. I'm just giving an example of.
I don't think we should say either increase or retain. I mean, we don't,
Okay.
Would it be helpful to
how about if
have,
we said support?
Yeah, I think support's fine. I mean, we can always come back.
Can you put, at the end, Suzanne, just ... and through such things as? And then we can come up with some examples
Really?
for discussion.
Well, isn't that these next two things?
I would think maybe this gets combined as in a different way at some point.
I don't think we wanna be overly, are we assigning this to the Harbor Committee? Lucky you.
Some of it can be harbor, some of it can be economic development.
Don't know if we need to get too hung up on who gets assigned to it tonight.
Good to have a placeholder.
A lot of work for the poor harbor committee.
Oh, you can handle it.
We don't
Well,
even
some
meet.
of them are going to be short-term goals or strategies, right? Or prioritized.
Just joking.
Oh, okay.
How about the next one?
Yeah.
Next one's good?
Yeah.
How about the one after that? Who's gonna maintain adequate harbor facilities? That's really the,
Harbor master.
Mhm.
Well,
And it's the town,
it's the whole town,
mhm.
but
Parking right down here at the harbor is a very big contentious issue. Ongoing.
I think the harbor master's fine for now, Suzanne.
Yeah.
Yes, very good.
The next one, Alan, is that what you were talking about?
Yeah.
Yes.
Explore-
It's fine the way it is, but that is an ongoing contentious thing that takes an awful lot of the harbor committee's time.
Yeah,
And what's the planning board got to do with that?
probably,
Well, that's from the last plan.
Yeah, I take that out.
Yeah,
What we do usually goes right to the select board. What the harbor committee does goes.
Yeah.
Maybe
you
the
could-
select
you could
board.
Put the select board in there.
well, again, they're the end result of it, so you
Yeah.
don't really need to.
Yeah.
Is this still this is ongoing in the last plan? Would you consider it still ongoing, or is it something that is a more immediate need?
Oh, ongoing.
Yeah.
We
so
have too many people that want to use a harbor without enough space for it.
could I, in this one,
You just
sort of
get rid of
comes one of those questions, like if we had some, since this is a big deal, is there a short-term kind of goal or objective or strategy, action, sorry,
No,
that we should be?
I think we should
here, I mean,
try to move-
is it,
no, there is no short term.
or, well, it could be,
We can kick out the Cranberry Isles.
undertake feasibility analysis to develop a parking garage, next to the town office.
that's a great
I
idea.
know.
That's already
I
been,
thought to say that.
it's already been brought up.
So many times.
Yes, exactly.
Absolutely.
This
But
opportunities.
I'm just, I'm not saying that we should put it in there, but I just think about this one might be like, because you brought up parking seems to be a continuous thing. Are there, as we're going through this, are there specific things that we could put here?
I would say no.
I'd say no.
I mean, we can bring up a parking garage within the context of this discussion when you're actually talking about the issue and decide whether or not the town wants to pursue it, but to decide that the comp plan is endorsing that as a specific objective, I think is.
At all suggesting that parking garage was the thing to put in there? I'm just
No.
using it as an example.
No.
Okay, just
All right, next,
okay, never mind.
Proposing new public docking and parking facilities, so it's in there in a way.
yep,
I think it's fine the way it is.
all right, moving on.
Why do we have objective 3 at all?
Well, we still
done
have a
with this?
couple on
Oh.
two, a couple more on
I
two.
think we have
Yeah, so if you look at the screen, there's some additions.
We
Good
could,
to have those on my own, just for my vision problems.
we could. Yeah, so these ones are just ones for consideration. So consider climate change and storm impacts when planning harbor infrastructure.
Which of course we do.
Do that anyway, so
Yes.
that's kind of ongoing.
And isn't that?
Like raising
isn't
a pair of
EV
few feet.
required anyway?
Yeah,
Okay.
sometimes.
It's
Yeah.
okay to put stuff that already happens now in there. Sometimes the state, one of the examples in, I can't remember, it's public facility, I don't know, is like, make sure you have a code enforcement officer. You know what I mean?
Okay. So the next one is coordinate harbor management infrastructure investments and land use planning to support long-term viability of Northeast Harbor and other working waterfront areas. So we could actually list the other areas too, if you wanted.
What does that mean?
I feel like we've covered that
Yeah.
statement already.
Yes.
I just worry if we only mention Northeast Harbor,
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
we
Yes.
just not the rest of the town.
There's a lot of us
So
that.
the viability of the harbors of the town of Mount Desert.
Mhm.
Yeah, and I think Alex just mentioned it's kind of redundant to the one above where we talk about
Mhm.
other ones, so maybe we just delete that one.
Right?
And then monitor changes in the marine economy, including commercial fishing, recreational boating, and marine tourism, and adjust policies as needed to support sustainable harbor activity.
I think it's good practice to be monitoring and paying attention.
Yep.
I mean, if anything, if there's discussion about it, it's only going to help direct the next one in 10 years or 20 years.
Yep.
That would be a lot of the harbor committee too.
Well, but
I would add harbor committee there.
Maybe the one above that. Not the one that's crossed out. Harbor committee takes that in consideration.
Mhm.
We're doing stuff with that right now.
Oh, and let me look at that one up above first, the climate change one. Can't see it. Thank you. I don't suppose that's a loser issue.
I would say it will eventually be a Luso. Yes, I would put Luso in there. Committee. Yep. Is that what you meant, Gail?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know whether we also put planning board, because it's also.
They have regulations that any new build will have to be at some height.
Do you want to put planning board in there too?
Yeah, because the Luso committee doesn't have any power, it's the planning board that you do work on behalf of.
Does Seal Harbor Yacht Club get approved?
Yes.
All right. Let's go to number 3,
Or 4, 3.
objective 3.
Why is this here?
So we were sort of thinking about this one as well. And I think that there are some state goals related to working farms and forests. I think this one that says encourage farms and forests to use the farmland and tax, I think tree growth program this is from the old plan.
Mhm.
I don't know if you want to keep something like that in there. I mean, people are already
I think
using
so,
the
right?
tree growth program for whatever, and I don't know how many farms actually are in the farm program, but
So the state requires, we group together, the state requires like marine resources, agricultural and forest resources as a separate section. We kind of grouped them into a larger natural resources umbrella. But this statement about, making sure people know about participation in these tax programs is one of the state strategies.
So there's no reason why we can't have this here and in that section, or we could have it.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I'm all in favor of us proposing, encouraging the local production of food.
Yeah, so
I mean, absolutely
And there is, but we need
Right.
more.
correct.
I think we had some good conversations about this topic when we were going over the village areas. And that's part of the discussion here is, this is the economic section. And we had some good conversations about, working farms. And do we want to create some more specific strategies under that objective?
I do think we want to encourage the production of local food that is accessible to the local community. Because I shop several times a week, all summer at Beach Hill Farm, and I rarely recognize any of the other people I'm shopping with.
Because it's very expensive.
It's very expensive.
So how about proposing a community garden on town-owned land?
Also
Yeah.
closes at 4 p.m., which is one of my big pet peeves. So
Not for working folks.
We have a community garden in downtown Soamesville.
It's limping along.
Across from,
Paint Post Heritage.
Paint Post Heritage Trust.
But are there other places where it could happen?
Yeah.
Not in my backyard. Ain't got no sunshine.
That
So
would be
you
a
need
good,
a new-
but that would be an interesting
That'd be
idea.
something the town could do on town-owned land that would be helpful to the community to grow food locally.
How about saying something like explore locations on town land for community garden?
Yeah.
Or for a community garden or parentheses gardens.
Do you want to go back to the marina part and because that too is local food? We didn't mention anything about that there.
Say that, explain that a little bit.
Lobster.
Well, encourage the production of local food, so it's not just fruits and vegetables, but it could be lobsters, clams, crab, mussels. I mean, we get food from the ocean as well.
I'll take all 4 of those.
How about?
Again, increasingly little of it is affordable.
Could we broaden the objective here?
And
Instead
seaweed.
of saying promote the economic viability of working farms and forests, could we I'm not sure what a working forest is in the town of Mount Desert, so that's kind of
Right.
thing.
Firewood.
But it's more promote the economic viability and getting back to the sentiment of encouraging food production
Yes.
locally in this objective, maybe? And that.
Yeah,
Say like Anne Marie,
Yeah,
we can add that.
Does that meet the needs of the state criteria?
they just want you to tell people about the tree growth program. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, right there.
The strategies within that section.
And I think it actually will be probably more appropriately in this section that we deal with forest
Natural resources. Yeah.
resource.
Yeah.
So we would say forestry and, tree growth program and farms, that's gonna get repeated in that section.
Yeah, and that's totally okay because they're so interrelated.
don't we have a oyster farm off Bartlett's? What do we have off Bartlett's?
Mussels, maybe.
Mussel. We have something.
There used to be mussels.
Aquaculture is a good point.
Is a working
It,
I
farm.
mean, that's not
Right.
anything that we
Oyster.
regulate, so you can't say the planning, we need zoning ordinances that allow more
Work with-
agriculture, it's all the state.
Right.
So the town provides input into aquaculture leases. They get to talk to the harbor master and the harbor committee. And the support for successful aquaculture would come from accessible
You want
facilities.
to be careful about that third rail and just saying a blanket statement that the town should support.
No, I said the support of a successful aquaculture. You have to have a place for the people, you have to have a land base. You have to have access to aquaculture from the land. That's what the town provides. So support in the sense that it's a physical support, not necessarily like a policy support.
I think that if this section is reworked, then we can talk about responsibility, but to spend time trying to figure that out right now, I think there's no.
Yep. So are we aligned on the concept of sort of broadening this to kind of like local food production as part of the economy and supporting that as a,
Including,
Yep.
yeah.
okay. So I think Suzanne, we
Yeah,
could,
I added up here and local food production under the objective.
I think you
Yep.
could take forests out.
I'm sorry, which part?
The forests part can just come out.
Okay. Got it.
All right. I think we can gussy this one up a little bit more.
Thank
Do
you.
you want to skip ahead or
Up.
you want to finish the last two on here?
Yeah,
So-
do we need that? That last one?
Well, it's that what they're doing with their
I
greenhouse,
was gonna
which
say
is usually important.
You have, well, does Maine Coast Heritage Trust still do their farming program?
Well, they don't, isn't
Just
the
gardening.
greenhouse isn't really about
It's certainly.
resource-based occupations, it's more about teaching individuals to understand where their food comes from and develop the ability to think about providing for yourself in that way. And
What
you-
was the thinking when this was created last time around? Does anyone know?
They're limited on farms.
It sounds like there was something
We don't have
specific
forests.
does that lost to them.
I would say ixnay that. Create the,
But
No education for you.
nope.
the idea of keeping rural areas from being developed. Let's keep the woods there rather than mowing it down and putting in houses. That's.
That's a whole
Really,
separate thing.
That's- yeah,
but
that's separate.
what this language is.
Like teaching them about farms and forests. So, I mean, I agree with that sentiment.
As an effective tool for keeping rural areas from being developed.
I think if we can have that like land use discussion under the natural resources section and not under the.
And under
I think that would be a better-
And under housing,
Mhm.
yeah.
Okay.
That's definitely a policy discussion and important, but not, does it really support
Doesn't
the
go with this section.
economic vitality?
Okay. Yeah, it's like productive landscapes. Objective 4, investigate regional services to reduce expenses. So it used to say investigate the possibility of providing additional services at a regional level as a means of reducing Mount Desert's expenses.
So for this one,
That's our school consolidation.
well, for this one, so I'd say starting with objective 4 all the way through objective 7, like we're starting to get into objectives that might be better suited to other parts of the plan, which we can talk about. And for this one, if we are thinking about it in the context of economy, would it be better to reword it to be something different?
And do you have a proposal in blue of that wording?
Nope.
Nope, okay.
Well, that is the proposal. Yeah, investigate regional services to.
Oh, I didn't know to continue. Oh.
Number 5 to.
Oh, that was number 5, okay.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Sorry.
Back to 4.
I mean, but number 4, we've already started talking about like regional collaborative efforts to enhance the economy and some of those other things. And in this one, are we talking about, you know, like what it, I'm not sure what was meant by investigate regional leaders, but like this is like a cost saving measure. Like let's work with the League of Towns to buy a bunch of sand. Let's work with the other towns to buy sand. Okay, I mean, that's the first one I could come up with, or whatever, like paper back in the day. Like, let's all get together and buy office supplies, you know?
Yay.
So for this one, would it be, the things that I start to think about are what are the regional initiatives? Like, are there tourism things that the town is participating in? Are there marine things that the town should be working on? Are there clusters on MDI that the town should be positioning themselves to be participating in. Let's support the airport as a regional hub for bringing in blah, blah, things like that.
Well, that's the county.
But it's also Mount Desert that has to participate in that.
I guess my question here on objective 4, I think objective 4 is actually an important objective, maybe not in economic development. Is this covered elsewhere that I just don't know about? Where
Well,
the same thing's being said somewhere else?
I think that investigate the possibility of providing additional services as on a regional level as a means of reducing expenses I would put that under fiscal capacity.
Sure, yeah.
I
But
also,
if you flip the question a little bit and say, what are the other regional economic initiatives that we should be participating in, then I would sort of want to think about it differently here. And again, and so let's not pay attention to the suggested responsibilities because
Right.
we did not look at that at all.
Mhm.
But I would think about those questions a little differently here. And I think what you were saying, Alex, is yes, that initiative to reduce expenses is like a fiscal capacity thing, not an economics thing.
Yeah.
Well, let's say, for instance, going back to something else, and the town put in a ton of money, along with some money from Hancock County, to get broadband service from Spectrum. So we had universal coverage. But what we really want is Fidium fiber throughout, and Bar Harbor has some, and it goes down to Southwest Harbor. Is that the kind of thing where it could save the town money, improve services, would be economic if we all work together as an island? Say, come on, Fidium, you got 10,000 people here year round. Let's do this. Start going town by town. Would that be something in this level that would reduce expenses, improve services, and be a regional?
So Fidium is down in Southwest Harbor?
I believe it is, yes.
Goes right
I think,
past
you know
us?
what? I think it goes to Acadia National Park campground where they have some services down there in Seal Cove, right?
When I look at this, what I see is the kind of things where if we had different organizations around, we'd be pursuing regional things like regional dispatch, regionalizing police, which, hey, we're doing, regional fire. Again, this is me putting on my old county hat where we did regional assessing, we did regional GA, we did a lot of those kind of regional combined services. Regional animal control. So to me, that's what this seems like it's speaking to, which makes it kind of, I think it's something that at all times the town manager should be getting tasked with exactly that. Like that's, it just feels very odd for it to be an economic development. To me, that's the part that's a little odd.
Yeah.
but I
And then I
also,
want everyone to specifically tell me to work with Hancock County on stuff.
Yeah.
Well, we definitely want you on that auditing committee, right?
Yeah.
but if we move it to fiscal capacity or something, regionalizing certain components doesn't always save money. It might be better in the long run for efficiency, public safety, all of that. So I think then the wording has to be particular there.
Yeah.
And obviously we would like to save money, but efficiency and public safety is also critical.
Would it be okay to move this part of the conversation in the context of expenses and the way this is phrased to the fiscal capacity section?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
it's gonna apply
And can I ask,
5 as well.
what's that?
It's gonna apply to number 5 as
Yeah,
well.
I think there's a lot of the rest of them that probably apply in other locations, but just to pause on this objective for a second.
Mhm.
If we ask the question, how can the town, in the economic context, how can town of Mount Desert, how should the town of Mount Desert be thinking about its position, relationship in other areas of the economy? And I know we had a broader one earlier that we can start to think about, but if I think about just a brainstorm. So I wrote down, we have to deal with tourism, like as an island. We have to deal with the marine economy some ways as an island. We have to, if we think about MDI and the Acadia region as having, are there economic clusters that the town wants to understand and engage with to figure out how the town can position itself to participate in some of those clusters. Do we want to support, I'll use the airport, and I'll say transportation as a bigger topic, but there are transportation through the airport. We want to support a good road network so goods and services can actually get to the town. We want to provide facilities for goods and services to like a ferry or transportation. We're facilitating those things to get to the island communities. There's economics involved in all of that stuff. So do we want to think about those things a little bit here?
I think the question of how much the town wants to subsume its core functions under an umbrella that's managed by all towns somehow, I think is an open question. And I think it's better to focus on the efficiency and the effectiveness of these businesses. I mean, from the point of view of the town, one of the big goals is taxes and how can people can afford their taxes to continue to stay here. And so one has to look in part, at least in significant part, at can we provide the services that we now need, which are probably more advanced than they might have been in the past, in as efficient a way as possible. And that's, and I don't know how, if we make it too broad, like we need to work with Bar Harbor and tourism, like how do we actually meaningfully do that?
Tourism is a toughie, so maybe I'm not sure you're asking me to.
I mean, they're the bear on the bus, it seems to me.
Sure. Let's think about the way that my brain is working right now is thinking. So first off, I think when we talk about regional collaboration, we don't necessarily mean the town has to give away its ability to make decisions about what's good for the town. Like in this context, it isn't even as much as we're gonna combine.
Propose world government.
Correct. We're not thinking about, in this context, we're not thinking about a MDI municipality.
Yeah.
Right. We're talking about, I'll use the thing that sort of I get back to is there are business clusters in this area. Let's just say we'll use biomedical research. We'll use the Jackson Lab as an example. So does the town, as an economic development strategy, want to engage with understanding the economics of some of these clusters that we already know exist, and try to figure out how it can position itself to participate appropriately in those economic clusters? What does that mean for the town of Mount Desert? I don't know, but you have to engage in those conversations. You have to be a participant in those conversations to understand, oh, hey, we have some land use tools that we can put in place to support X or Y for these organizations. Or we just invested a bunch of money in our, this is a crazy example, but we just invested a bunch of money in our water infrastructure, and we know this business needs a bunch of water. So maybe we want to encourage that. But the question I'm saying is at a high level goal, a high level strategy, because you're talking about the economics. Is it good? Should we, not good, should we put something in the plan that thinks about how the town participates more regionally in the economics of the region? Because it can benefit the town through both of the things that we talked about at the beginning, jobs and services.
On the other, this is probably a tangent, but on the other side of this, we probably do need to think about talking about the types of economic development we want to encourage.
Sure.
Because it has to be consistent with the town itself. So you don't want to encourage a big box store.
Right.
You don't want to encourage a data center. You don't want to encourage, your problem name here. So how do we frame what it is that we're trying to encourage?
So how about considering the possibility of the healthcare system on the island.
Mhm.
The hospital needs more people to work there because we have,
Yeah.
the study they did, the biggest thing that
Housing,
everybody
housing,
identified
housing.
was safe and affordable housing.
Mhm.
We know we want more medical people here. We have a nursing association. We have a medical center here. We've just lost the eye doctor who was here. He's no longer here. But we know that the hospital system needs more housing for people so that they can.
So does Jackson Lab.
And so does Jackson Lab, exactly. So in some ways, providing that housing can help our local economy if we have more people living here
Mhm.
to
Mhm.
frequent restaurants and buy hardware stores from
Mhm.
no longer here. But it would benefit those institutions. Is that something that we should be looking at?
Yep, I do think what's missing from the economic section is is an important reference to housing. Even though we're gonna have a housing section to talk about more details, but yeah,
Even though that first language right off the bat said,
yep.
it's all tied to housing.
But we don't have an objective that deals with housing in economy. That's important. Yep.
Not explicitly, but when you, I mean, we have to figure out, a way to interrelate it. And it's okay if things overlap.
I think that until we get through the housing section, we don't know if we actually need one in the economic section as well.
Sure.
I mean, it needs to be there,
Yeah.
but
Should be referenced.
where
what
it
level
is,
of detail? What you're getting at, right?
Hmm?
We don't know what level of detail we need to make that cross-reference.
yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think that's fair. Does that sort of answer where you were headed, Kathy?
I mean, within housing, we could say explore possible collaborations with existing entities
Yeah,
on Mount Desert Island who
where housing is their issue.
have a demonstrated need for
Yes.
Yep.
affordable housing.
Can we try to zoom through the rest of these?
Yeah, so I want to be mindful of time, but would it be okay if I took a stab at something along the lines of what I'm talking about and you guys could just say you're
Yes.
crazy?
Yeah.
And we don't
No,
like
because
it
I
at all?
heard you and I
Yes.
feel like there is an important,
Okay.
there's at least the statement to be seen and known that if,
Something.
yep.
Yes.
Okay, and so not to belabor all these other ones, but I really think that they're sections that belong somewhere else. And we could go through them if you want, but so maybe we think about the objective and decide whether or not it belongs somewhere else. So for the first one, that's properly planning for future demands placed on the municipal resources, I think that belongs in the fiscal capacity
Mhm.
section.
Mhm.
And so I had another way to write it if everybody felt strongly that it belongs here, but if you don't
I think
care,
so.
then let's
Yeah.
move on.
Move on for it.
Number 6 is ensure the town governance structure is adequate to meet the needs of the community over the next
Yeah,
decade.
there's
I think we talked about that somewhere else.
Mhm.
Although I do find the create a government's purpose, the bit about decide if we've got the right form of government is fascinating, but yeah.
Yeah.
Let's come back to it.
Yeah, I wonder where that
Maybe
came
not.
from. I'm really curious.
Different times in 2009.
Yeah.
Let's see, number 7 would be ensure the recommendations of the comprehensive plan are addressed. I mean, I think this is an implementation
Yeah, I was gonna say
discussion.
that,
and
yeah.
There, we will have an implementation section.
Yeah.
But I don't want to lose sight of that while we are going through these.
That's the last page.
What'd you say?
Good enough.
Objective, not the seventh.
It should be in our opening paragraph.
This is our mission.
I think we're gonna struggle with all the good ideas and then really honing in on, okay, these are the things that we really want to focus on.
Mm.
Because that's always a struggle. All right. So we have, so the next steps on this one, we're gonna tighten this up based on our comments. And then next time we'll get into this last time, and then we'll dive into housing.
Okay.
And everybody's okay with us taking a more reactionary, so putting something on paper you guys can react to.
Like it, yeah.
Reactionary. Yeah, let's to have a more reactionary.
But again, we're just gonna put ideas out there.
Reactionary, I just say no.
I think it's good.
Sure.
More
Because I am very
And I
sensitive.
think it's gonna move.
Yeah, but I don't take, there's no pride in any of the things we put out there. I mean, we're very prideful of things. we
You're
put out.
proud of it, but you don't have any It's not a hill you're gonna die.
No, this is your plan. You need to help us.
So do we need to discuss tonight or at the next meeting with the proposal of either increasing to 2 meetings a month, or I heard you made the proposal of a 4-hour Saturday?
I think we do need to discuss it, yes.
Okay. All right,
Should we put that on the next meeting agenda? Or do you want to talk about it now?
I'd say
How many are missing from this committee
A
right now?
lot. Yeah.
Vincent,
Vincent,
I
Judy.
think it'd be good to meet more and finish sooner.
she's here.
Shoshana's there, so it's Judy and
Judy.
Tracy,
Tracy,
Vincent.
Vincent, there are 3 people
Yeah.
missing.
Probably next time.
You know, sometimes
But
we
maybe-
forget a lot month to month.
Would it be helpful if Suzanne and I said, okay, if we are gonna meet every
3 weeks.
2 or 3 weeks, then we just lay out the schedule a little bit?
Yeah.
I think if we're gonna discuss it next time, we need to have some sort of a proposal in front of us.
Okay.
Because we'll be the beginning of April.
Yep.
And if we wanna try and get it done by goal of June.
Okay,
It should be the committee's proposal.
I'm happy to draft something.
great. Any online comments or questions or thoughts? Nope. You
No,
good, Shoshana?
I wish I was there with you guys. I think it would be, yeah, it's great to follow along, and I've had moments where I was going to contribute, but then it was said. So I think it's going well, but it is nicer to be in person.
Great, so we didn't really spend it, I think, has everybody read Vincent's comments? And so I just want to make sure some of those things are thought about and integrated
Mhm.
into the discussion. Too. Great.
Of the people that are here physically or by Zoom, is anyone opposed to doing a Saturday?
No.
Depends on which day.
Right. Yeah, for me, my schedule is ever changing. So I just I wish it was like every time I could say yes, but I can't. But so I wouldn't be sharing that, but I wouldn't be the deciding factor.
Every day is a Saturday for me.
It is not.
We heard that
me.
Life is good.
That's great.
Keep sending the checks.
Okay, anything else?
Motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn,
Motion to adjourn.
second. Those in
Second.
Favor?
Great, thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Katrina,
I
before
need
you
to
go
talk to
anywhere.
you about the next loser meeting.
Yes?
Because
Got one.
Can I be so